Okay, and now I'm going to get on to our speakers here. We've got a great group, so I'm going to introduce Joey Nimmer, and he can come up and introduce everybody else. Joey is employed as administrator with the Anderson County Board of Education since 2006. He's got 22 years of experience in education administration, employed 6 years with Clemson University with the Small Business Development Center, attended Clemson as an undergraduate and graduate student, and he's married to the former Jean Mitchell with 4 boys ages 14 to 22. Joey, would you please come up?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to come to be with you for a little while today. I was contacted back during the summer and asked about giving an update to what's going on in education in Anderson County. And quite frankly, I can tell you this is a very, very exciting time to be involved with, in support of, having a participant in the public education system here. As you are all well aware, over the last 3 or 4 years, we have seen every district assume new leadership. And during that time, the outgrowth of that is a spirit of collaboration that is unprecedented in Anderson County. The superintendents get together frequently. They work together on various programs. They share, cross-check ideas with each other. It's just been an outstanding time. One of the outgrowths of that collaboration is the fact that there will be a sales tax referendum question on your ballot in November, and it will give the opportunity here in Anderson for several things to be achieved that heretofore have not quite been achievable. So I'm going to let the representatives from the various districts speak a little bit about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and what they will do should this sales tax referendum pass. At this point, I'd like to turn the program over. The first superintendent I'd like to bring up is Tom Wilson. He's your hometown superintendent here in Anderson School District 5, and he's going to kick off the presentation today. Each district does have representation here, and I'm glad to say we have 4 of the 5 superintendents. We have 1 that had a conflict, and he is very, very capably represented. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for allowing me to turn it over to a dynamic team you have working for you here in Anderson. Thank you very
much. It's great to be with you, and because I know you dismiss at 1 o'clock, so I'll move quickly through my portion. But it's good to be back. I actually went to school here. I refer to this as the real McCants on South Fan Street. In fact, there are a lot of memories in this room right here. Some good, some not so good. But anyway, it's great to be with you. I'm beginning my 2nd year superintendent. And I'll move right into the reason we're here is to share with you the opportunity for all residents in Anderson County on November the 4th to vote on 1% sales tax for education. Each district has different projects that we will do. The money will be split among all 5 school districts based on enrollment of students. Anderson 5 has 40% of the students, so we'll get 40% of the projected revenue. Now, how much do we project a 1% sales tax will generate over 15 years? Working with our bond counsel and our attorneys and all those folks that crunch numbers, at a 2% growth over 15 years, which is extremely low, we project will generate around $230 million. That's a lot of pennies, but the money will be split among all the districts. On this sheet, you will see what District 5 will do. We're very fortunate in District 5 that our elementary schools are in great shape. They've been renovated, some new ones. We have 2 new middle schools. We have McCants and Lakeside that are going to be some issues addressed in that bottom piece there about other facility needs. But the highest priorities you'll see listed. What I'm excited about is collaborating with Districts 3 and 4 and build a new college and career center. We want to build one near the Tri-County Tech Anderson campus so that our students can partner and basically walk next door and be able to have dual enrollment classes, joint enrollment classes, earn college credit, earn work credentials to go into the world of work right on the same campus. And all those students will be bused there from the various districts. We look at this as a workforce development issue, and which will lead to economic development as more folks want to move in and locate businesses in Anderson and in the upstate. On the back of this page, you will see the actual ballot. If you live in District 5, this is the ballot that you will see. On the left-hand side is the ballot question that everybody in Anderson County will see wherever they live. And that one basically says, can Anderson County levy a 1% sales tax for basically capital outlay projects, and you'll see the list. If you live in District 5, you'll see the second ballot question that says, okay, and I'm kind of summarizing, it says, okay, if the sales tax passes, can we sell $60 million worth of bonds and we pay it with the sales tax? Now this is where communication is key, because folks in Anderson have never seen this. All you've seen is a bond referendum was based on property tax. And some folks will look at this and go, well, they're raising the sales tax and they're having a bond referendum, which is partly true, but the bond referendum is going to be paid with the sales tax. This was a crucial piece to communicate. My former superintendencies were in Georgia. Georgia had this option all the way back to 1998. In districts in Georgia now, you cannot pass a property tax bond referendum because the sales tax has been so popular in that state. Additionally, you'll see down at the bottom, 20% of all revenue collected countywide will go to reduce the bond indebtedness tax that you pay on your property. Now, on your primary residence, all you pay is bond debt. But if you own a business, you own rental property, you own more than your private residence, you pay bond indebtedness and also operational tax. That was passed with Act 388 several years ago. So it's crucial. We believe this is to give something to the property owner, is saying, look, we're raising the sales tax, well, we're going to give the property owner something in return. Why do we believe this is good for Anderson County? Just from my experience in Georgia, people are tired. The only people paying the freight are property owners. Everybody pays. Everybody. All those folks from Park County, Elberton, and Franklin that come over here every Saturday to shop, to eat out, to spend money in Anderson are going to pay. All those folks that come to Lake Hartwell, that live in Atlanta, have pro homes, they're going to help pay for our schools. And the good thing is we don't have to educate any of their children. They keep them with them in Atlanta and Charlotte and Greenville. Also, if you saw an article in the paper several weeks ago how Interstate 85 changed Anderson County. I don't know if you saw that. We have over 30 miles of interstate highway. Exit 19A and 19B are two of the busiest exits on that whole stretch of highway. All those folks that stop there, because you know where you're going to buy gas if you're driving out of Georgia or North Carolina, you're going to buy it in upstate South Carolina because it's that much cheaper. So they stop. Gas is not taxed. Food is not, essential food is not taxed, and prescription medicine is not taxed, just like it's not taxed now. But all those other things you buy, that these people passing through will be taxed as well. And additionally, another thing, every Saturday when there's a Clemson game at home, you know the traffic that passes through this county. So it makes good financial sense. It lets others pay. Everybody pays. All these folks that are in this country legally or illegally are going to pay. All those folks that are doing illegal activities are going to pay every time they go to the store and buy something, not just folks that own property. So how much will your reduction be? It will be on the value of your property, how much property you own, and how much is generated. We're confident that with only 2% growth, we're very conservative on our estimation of the revenue that will come in over 15 years. I firmly believe 15 years from now, if this passes on November 4th, it will be renewed and you'll see additional bond indebtedness because there's districts. My former district in Georgia, over 12 years, we were totally debt-free and it was all paid with sales tax. And we didn't have any bond indebtedness on property. So it can be done. We're partnering. You'll see our other list. And for the sake of time, I can't go into everything with you. This takes about 30, 40-minute presentation. I'll be after the meeting. I'll be glad to talk with you. And quickly, we need you to help communicate this. I left Anderson the day I graduated high school. I was 18 years old, and I was gone. I was in college in Georgia for 40 years. And a funny thing happened when I came back. Everybody in this town became related. It's amazing. Everybody's kin to everybody. So you know a lot of people. People are going to ask you. They're not going to ask these superintendents because they have a relationship with you. They're going to ask you, what does this really mean? So the more informed you can be to provide good information, it helps us communicate, why we believe this is a good project and why we hope on November the 4th you'll make decisions about the future of this district. Now I'm going to turn it over to District 4.
Thank you, Tom. I do try to look younger than Tom, but he keeps reminding everybody we went to school together, so I don't know if it's really necessary to dye my hair. It's great to be in front of you. Many of you, as I looked around the room, having grown up here myself in Anderson, and I'll be honest, many of you I knew as a child, some others I knew in church, and Jonathan Jennings was the last principal that I worked for when I was in the classroom. So it's really nice to be back with people that you feel a connection with. Tom gave you the overview and the whys. I'll just highlight a little bit of Anderson 4 projects, and then I want to close with a little bit of an emotional appeal. In Anderson 4, it's a much smaller district. As Tom and Jerry alluded to, we for the first time feel the collaboration, and there have been conversations over the years, even when I was in Anderson 5, about the consolidation of districts and wouldn't it be more economical and so forth. And I think when you look at the study, you would find that that's probably not true if they work together and if they collaborate and if they share resources and if they make the most of economies of scale. And this is one of those examples. There's no way that Pendleton High School, the size that it is, can provide the kinds of opportunities that would be available to a career center built for about 3,000 students with every career choice or twice as many. At the same time, it's hard to operate it even at the size that the Anderson Westside Hannah Career Center is, just because of the economy of scale. We were just sitting there discussing that it'd be great if it could be open from 8 in the morning till 6 to make sure that every bit of the space got used and that the taxpayers, the sales taxes, were used most economically. And so the Career Center is the #1 project that Anderson School District 4 will be focusing its needs and sales tax on. And again, our question on the back of our page has the very same question: can we raise the sales tax? And by the way, that's a simple majority. When the voters vote in Anderson County, if 50% plus one vote yes, and it goes into effect. The second question is district specific, and it has in there the amount of the bond that you're going to sell. And of course, ours is a much smaller bond. It's $14 million because of our size and our bond capacity, or our projected sales tax revenue. So that's the reason that if you happen to live in Anderson 4, you know somebody, that's why it's different from the $60 million. And when Mason Dairy comes up here, theirs will be a little bit different. And then you see some of our projects that we would use the sales tax for as well on the front page under after the Career Center. And as I close, I just alluded to, I've been here since the 60s, since I was 6 years old. Many of you in the room know my father was a surgeon here. And I've seen a lot of things happen. I worked 15 years in Anderson 5 as an administrator, and I've seen a lot of things happen in this county that were good, and a lot of them that have not been good for the county. And so I'm asking the people that I talk to, it's time for all of us to step up as leaders. Economic development is critical to the future for my children, for your children, for our grandchildren. And we need to work together to make good things happen for the future. And when you get the delegation, except for one member, economic development, county council, 5 districts whose boards unanimously approved this, it's a pretty rare event. So we hope that that will begin to permeate into all the leadership rounds and really take a look at this opportunity. Now, Mason Gary's going to come from district.
Thank you all for having us this afternoon or morning. Last time I was here, Kiwanis, I was in Key Club as a 12th grader doing pancake breakfast. So it's been a while, but go Kiwanis. I'm proud of you. I've been on my 3rd year now as Superintendent in Anderson 3, and a lot of what you're going to hear could be redundant, so I'm not going to try to keep repeating. I'll just say this, in Anderson 3, you know where we are. Some call us LA, Lower Anderson, way down 81. A lot of cows, a lot of farmland. Folks, I need this referendum tremendously because in my area, we will not be able to pass a bond referendum in my local community and have it passed. We've proven that in time. So, working together with this group, I think, is the strong point. If this passes for us, we will be able to get first for us a career center. Mr. Haver's going to come up and speak in a moment. I worked in Anderson 1 for 18 years. The career center there that's joined between 1 and 2 has 20 programs that they can offer their students. I have a comprehensive high school at Crescent High School. We can offer 5. So when you look in the county, 5 different districts, we have one group offering 20 programs, my group's offering 5. That's not an equal playing field when I have Electrolux, Michelin, Owens Corning, all sitting right up my Highway 81 that I cannot send enough kids to. They'll tell you that, ask them. They need the workforce. We could put a mechanism in place to have a trained workforce ready for those groups, ready for a 2-year college, ready for a 4-year college. So that's going to be our main approach coming out of the gate. We're going to have a little over 11 million that we're asking for. And then we have some other just facility needs. I'm not going to hand out because, again, it may be redundant. But what I'm after is the Career Center first. And I think that's very important for our students because, again, my job is to make sure your kids and your grandkids have an equal opportunity in Anderson County to go forward in college and careers. And again, thank you for the time and for the meal today.
Deputy, I'm Lance Radford. I'm the Assistant Superintendent in Anderson 2. And on behalf of Dr. Richard Rosenberg, our Superintendent, I'm glad to be here. And I certainly thank Kiwanis for having us all here today. I was just reminiscing just a little bit. You talk about pancake breakfast. When I was in high school, I was in the Key Club. And I want to thank you guys for what you do as Kiwanis and what you do for sponsoring Key Clubs. And also, I was talking to my secretary before I came down, and she was in the Kiwanis at BHP High School. And so a lot of good things are done through Kiwanis, and we certainly appreciate that. Now, in terms of Anderson 2, first of all, I want to say that in Anderson 2, we feel like we've been great stewards of the money that we receive through our tax dollars in Anderson 2. In fact, we have 7 schools in Anderson 2, and 6 of those 7 schools were built in the 1950s. So between 1954 and 1956, where 6 of our 7 schools were built. BHP High School was built in 1966. Now, we've done renovations, we've done some improvements, we've added on to those schools, but they are still schools. They were built in the 1950s. And when you walk into those schools, you can tell they were built in the 1950s. And what we want for our students in Anderson 2, and all the students in Anderson 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, is a place where our kids can be proud to come to school, where they can take advantage of great facilities. We want to spend it on facilities upgrades. We want to spend that money on technology upgrades to build a technology infrastructure in all of our schools where our kids can bring their own devices and they can use those devices for educational purposes. We're looking at that. There's just so many things that we can do and we should do for our children. I feel like I'm sort of in a unique position because I work in Anderson 2. I have 2 children in Anderson 5. I have 1 child in Anderson 4. I know that we have great schools, but there are so many needs that we have. And so we're looking to put that out there for the taxpayers and the voters of Anderson County to know that it's not only our children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren who are going to benefit from those tax dollars. As Tom so eloquently said, they're coming from a lot from outside of our own district, from Georgia, from other places, people passing through. Let's let those folks pay for better schools for our district, for that technology infrastructure, for safety improvements to our schools. Let's let those guys pay a great deal of that portion of what we need to do to upgrade and to improve upon it. Makes sense to me. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
I'm David Havard, and I represent Anderson School District 1, and it is my pleasure to be here with y'all today, and I love this building. I know I didn't go through this building, Tom, but I went through one very similar to this. Might even be over. I think the thing I want to talk a little briefly about stewardship, and as other superintendents talked earlier about the law that was passed, it gave many districts and counties the opportunity to pass a local option sales tax to education. Every other county that's looking at this are following the law to the letter. They're looking at using 10% of the proceeds toward debt service. I want y'all to know all 5 of these superintendents, most importantly, all 5 boards endorsed early on in the process. If we had the opportunity to get this passed and we're able to receive this money, we would use 20% of the proceeds for debt reduction. And that's significant. And the leaderships of each district endorse that unanimously. So when you see some of our brochures, you probably will see that on there as well. And what I thought I'd do, they have talked about, in general, what we're doing in Anderson 1. We have a lot of projects that we do. And I'm not going to go through all those, but they start with safety and security, certainly instruction, other capital improvements, technology, so forth. But what I wanted to do for y'all, particularly I assume we got some business owners in here, I want y'all to know what some of the, I guess, most important questions I get. All right, Mr. Havard, what percent property tax reduction is that going to be? How does that factor in a property owner that owns a $100,000 house? How does that factor in a person that is rent? I have rentals. I have business tax at 6%. I have cars. How is this going to help me? Tom, Lee, and Couple did a really good job saying we're trying to get money from outside the county to help pay for anywhere from a fourth to a third of this. Whether it be folks renting that are not paying, people traveling up down 85, Bassmasters coming to Hartwell in a year or so. That's a very helpful thing. But really, y'all want to know, how is it going to help me when your tax bill comes in October, November, and December? And I at least wanted to say hi to folks in Anderson 1. And my assumption is most of y'all live in Anderson 5, and I'll probably go through that as well. But if you have a $100,000 house assessed value in Anderson 1, it will save you, your property tax will be rolled back $18.40. If you also own rental property, $27.60. If you have a business, again at 6%, $27.60 as well. If you have all those, you can start accumulating some of those savings. If you have a vehicle worth $10,000, it rolls it back $2.76, or a $20,000 vehicle, you're talking about obviously a little over $5. If you're in Anderson 5, and the reason I tell you, all these, the prices are different because of all the 5 districts, the assessed value, the debt service is a little different, so you have a little bit different calculations between the 5 districts. But in Anderson 5, where most of you reside, I assume, it would roll back, if you have a $100,000, roll back your property tax $15.08. $200,000 house, $30. Rental property, assessed at $100,000, $22.62. Same thing, business, $22.62. A vehicle, $2.26. So I think I, as a superintendent, as these other ladies and gentlemen, we just, Mr. Havard, do something other than raise our property tax. Find some way of raising money to help your schools other than always hitting the property tax owners, and as y'all know, the business owners get because of Act 386. So in looking at some options, This is what our group of superintendents, all 5 boards came up with, that we can actually do a great job providing services, facilities to all 5 districts, at the same time, really and truly roll back property taxes. So this is, some people are going to doubt how some of these calculations are done. This is done very, very conservatively. In fact, I would say, you know, when we had some assessments done on how much money this would raise in the county as a whole, back in 2012, 2013, was 13.7 million which be generated in the county as a whole, just getting a penny sales tax. The other thing that I want y'all to know that I also think is significant, look at all 46 counties in the state of South Carolina, there's only 8 that are only have the regular 6-cent state sales tax. Only 8. Anderson County is one of them. So if we had already a high sales tax, this wouldn't be a reasonable thing to do. But we do not. Most counties are already at 7, 8, 9, and 10 cents, and they're using the money for roads, infrastructure, they're using the money for education, and just a host of things across the state. But that was a significant thing to me that I wanted to at least share with y'all. Again, only one of 8 counties sits still at 6 cents sales tax. So, but I wanted you to know for you property owners and business owners, the tax reductions are pretty significant, particularly if you have multiple properties, whether it be rental, businesses, what have you. It really does mount up, and it ends up being cumulative. Tom talked about working through and being debt-free in Georgia after many years. This will continue. As we pay off debt using sales tax, you continue to have opportunity to reduce your property taxes, depending on where you are in your individual debt for your district. I guess with that being said, I know we're really out of time. If anybody's got a question or two, or I think most important, we'll all stay for y'all. But is there a question somebody want to ask?
On your ballot, if somebody votes yes on the ballot and then votes no on the other side of it, what's going to happen?
Well, I think Lee said this initially. Remember this, since it's a county-wide, it's majority rules or passes. But that could happen, and if they vote yes on the first question and no on the second question, that means District 3, 4, and 5 will not be able to borrow the $35–40 million. They'll have to build piecemeal or use some of their 8% money.
Yeah, let me just respond. For District 5, the sales tax passes and the bond fails. Our only option then, we can sell right now $23 million worth of bonds. It doesn't require a referendum. What we would probably do, if the sales tax passes, what we'd probably do is sell those bonds and pay that with the sales tax, because we know the sales tax is going to come in. The problem with that is these projects will be delayed a lot longer to complete because we won't have the money up front. You will have to kind of, David said, piecemeal it through. Another question people ask, well, what if the sales tax passes but the bonds, what if the sales tax fails but the bond passes? Well, that's null and void because we got bonds, we got no money to pay them back, so we can't, it's dead. So you'll hear that sometimes as well.
As Rotary, as Kiwanis Club members, I really want you to know this really is a property tax rollback. We were asked to do some things that would help the property tax owners. And our boards, again, did twice as much as the law allows, 20%. And we would love to get some additional sales tax money from everybody that pays no property tax, that are renting or coming through the county as we sell. So we do feel like this could be a win-win for Anderson County and for our 5 districts. And I do want to say this in closing, particularly, and this is part of Joey Up collaboration. Lance talked about, and Mason talked about Anderson District 1 and 2 Career and Technology Center, which is an excellent center. Excellent. We want Districts 3, 4, and 5 to have an outstanding career center for their students as well. That makes Anderson County stronger as a whole. And I can tell you, an outstanding career center keeps kids in school. It trains them for some very important jobs within our county. And that, to me, is a critical thing for District 3, 4, and 5. We certainly want them to have access to that, very much like we are fortunate to have in Anderson District 1 and 2.
If I can have one thing, other counties that are voting on this, right now Lexington has it, already has it. Horry County already has it. You imagine they generate with Myrtle Beach. Charleston has it. Cherokee County, Gaffney, they're voting on a renewal. They already have it, they're voting to renew it. In November, new ones are Anderson, Aiken's voting on it, Kershaw County, and I think Fairfield. So you're going to see some other counties that are coming on board as this becomes more a popular way to fund school construction. Money can't be used to hire teachers or pay salaries, but what it does, we all budget a lot of money for technology. If you're paying technology with this sales tax, you can drive that money to other areas, technology, like, at the elementary level or other things, without raising the taxes to do that. So it's, so we're not the only one on the ballot. Those other counties are doing as well.
Yes, sir.
I understand the 6% figure from the state, but I think in the city of Anderson it's now 8%, is it not?
I think that's on what prepared food. Yeah. Oh, I think you're right, and I think that's maybe similar, small towns could have that as well. On behalf of all 5 superintendents, we are grateful for y'all allowing us to attend the meeting, and thank you for your hospitality.